Facts and stories about the blue Fugates. To some extent, people come in a rainbow of colors. Even so, you wouldn't expect to see a human with naturally blue skin, yet the blue Fugates are an exception. Who are the blue Fugates, and what do they do? Members of the Fugate family of eastern Kentucky, notably those who lived in the early to mid-20th century, are mentioned in the title. The title is not an exaggeration, according to first-hand testimonies. What caused the Fugates to become blue? The quick answer involves a genetic mutation caused by inbreeding. The longer solution involves recessive genes and strange coincidences. If the Fugates hadn't lived in such a remote location, their situation might not have gotten so bad. From the Scottish blue men of the Minch to the Hindu divinity Krishna, blue skin is typically associated with anything other than human. But the Fugates are mortal, and these facts about Kentucky's blue Fugates are the absolute truth, no matter how bizarre they may appear. Here are some of the interesting facts about the blue Fugates. Before we move to the next step, please subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you can be updated by my new videos. Number 1. They lived in isolation. In 1820, the Fugate family arrived in Kentucky for the first time. Martin Fugate and his wife, Elizabeth Smith, moved to Troublesome Creek, a small Appalachian town. Martin Fugate was blue, according to family legends. Even if this isn't true, his progeny had an odd appearance. His son Zachariah, as well as 3 more of their 7 children, were born with blue skin. Because of the community's isolation, the Fugates' neighbors were aware of the blue people, but few outsiders were. Number 2. They had unusual blood. So, whence did that blue hue originate? The Fugates had a genetic abnormality that caused methemoglobinemia, a condition in which their blood didn't carry as much oxygen across the body as it should. This causes the blood to darken, causing Caucasian skin to appear blue and their lips to appear purple. Furthermore, arterial blood is chocolate brown in color rather than red. People with methemoglobinemia have greater levels of methemoglobin in their blood, ranging from 10 to 20% compared to less than 1% for the average person. The blood of the Fugates differed from that of their neighbors. Number 3. Their condition partially arose from inbreeding. Martin Fugate and his bride, Elizabeth Smith, both carried the methemoglobinemia-causing recessive gene. Future generations of Fugates would not have been affected if they had not married inside the family. Because the Fugates lived in a remote place, their options were limited. One of the first known blue Fugates, Zachariah Fugate, married his aunt, and one of their sons married a close cousin. As a result, one of their children married a relative of theirs. It makes for a perplexing family tree with a lot of blue people on it. "I'm kin to myself," one of the family members joked. Number 4. Luna Fugate was the bluest blue Fugate. A guy named Luna Stacy went to church one Sunday in eastern Kentucky near the end of the 19th century. He noticed a young woman and seemed to enjoy what he saw. They courted, married, and had 13 children together. Luna Fugate was the woman, and legend has it that she was the bluest blue Fugate of them all. According to a nurse in the area, Luna and her kin were the bluest Fugates I'd ever seen. Luna had a bluish tint to her skin. Her lips were the color of a bruise. She was the bluest woman I'd ever seen. Stacy, oddly enough, refused to tell whether or not his loving wife was blue. Number 5. They were shunned. The blue skin of the Fugates was more than just unusual, it was also a clear indication that the family had practiced intermarriage. As more information about the detrimental effects of inbreeding became available, blue skin became even more of a stigma. The Fugates' neighbors were not always kind to them, and as a result, they withdrew even further from their small neighborhood. In the 1960s, when Dr. Madison Kewin contacted the family, it was evident that they were all too used to being outcasts. They refused to enter the waiting room. You could tell how much being blue hurt them. Number 6. They lived long, healthy lives. Methemoglobinemia can lead to developmental delays and seizures, yet despite their dramatic blue skin and purple lips, none of the Fugates were in bad condition or suffering from pain. Although the disease had merely a visual effect, the family experienced psychological distress as a result of their outsider status. Many members of the family survived to be a ripe old age, including Luna Stacy, who had 13 children before dying at the age of 84. Number 7. They were treated with blue dye. Dr. Madison Kawin, a hematologist at a University of Kentucky medical clinic, was alerted to the case of the blue Fugates in the early 1960s. In order to discover more about the Fugates, he began tromping through the hills hunting for blue folks. He met Ruth Pendergrass, a nurse having first-hand contact with the blue people. She joined him in his search, and they ultimately came across 2 Fugates. Kawin found after questioning the Fugates that their blood was missing a critical enzyme. The doctor decided to inject the affected family members with methylene blue, a dye, to stimulate the blood's natural functions. The cosmetic effects were almost instantaneous. Years later, Kawin reflected on the experience, saying that the family members who had been treated were overjoyed to see the blue vanish from their skin. For the first time in their lives, they were pink. It was actually that simple to find a solution. Although the dye's effects were only brief, Kawin provided the Fugates with methylene blue tablets to take on a daily basis. Number 8. The last known blue Fugate was born in 1975. Over the years, the Fugates continued to produce huge families, with some children still being born in various shades of blue. Coal mining and railroads, on the other hand, brought new people to Kentucky, and the Fugates began to marry beyond their family. The recessive gene eventually died out. In 1975, the last known blue Fugate was born. Benji Stacy's birth appearance was nearly purple, which alarmed his doctors. However, after his grandmother told the medical team about her family's peculiar heritage, they concluded that he had simply inherited the Fugate's rare disease. Over the next several weeks, the blue faded from Stacy's skin, however his lips and nails remained to turn purple when he was cold or furious. Is it possible that additional blue Fugates will be born in the future? The recessive gene that causes the disorder is becoming less common as inbreeding declines, while it still remains in many people. There's a chance that future Fugate generations will have blue skin, but it's a remote possibility. Number 9. The Fugates still live very private lives. Despite the fact that ABC News released a story about the blue Fugates in 2012 and attempted to contact the surviving family members, they were unable to do so. At least one Fugate's descendant still lives in Appalachia, and there are many additional families with the condition scattered over the region, but the gene pool has dispersed greatly. You almost never encounter a patient with, says Dr. Ayla Teferi, a hematologist at the Mayo Clinic. Number 10. The blue men of Ligon also had the condition. Dr. James Deeney treated the blue men of Ligon, Irish brothers, with ascorbic acid and sodium bicarbonate in 1942. Over the course of 12 days, the surgery worked, at least temporarily, as the brothers' skin began to fade to a normal tone. Number 11. You can actually acquire blue skin later in life. Though the Fugates were able to pass down a recessive gene from generation to generation, ensuring the continuance of blue-tinged skin and oxygen-deficient blood for future generations, there is a way to get methemoglobinemia without the gene. When oxidizing medicines, nitrates, or other chemicals are exposed to protecting enzymes found in healthy red blood cells, they can infiltrate the enzymes and raise methemoglobin levels. In newborns, certain foods can induce it, although medicines like benzocaine and dapsone are more likely to cause it. Shortness of breath, headaches, dizziness, and loss of consciousness are some of the physical symptoms. Number 12. Modern Fugates still in Kentucky. Trost claims that his skin ultimately lost its blue color, but that his lips and fingernails still turned blue when he was furious or cold as a child. Hilda Stacy, his 56-year-old mother, appears to still reside in Hazard, Kentucky, but did not return phone calls. Other relatives can be found all over Virginia and Arkansas. Kawin, the grandson of Kentucky's poet laureate, who pioneered research on L-Dopa as a Parkinson's disease medication, found most of what scientists know about the family. In 1965, he became famous for a different reason. His wife was poisoned with a chemical, but no one was ever charged. I hoped you find this video helpful. If you liked the video, do like and subscribe as it really helps our channel, and do remember to give your feedback in the comments below. See you in the next video with some more interesting stories and facts.